If you had to pick one car that defined the American automotive spirit of the 1960s, the 1965 Ford Mustang would be tough to beat. And if you wanted the full sensory experience, the wind in your hair, the rumble of a V8, and those classic lines on full display, the 65 Mustang Convertible with the 2.89 engine was as good as it got. The Mustang wasn't just another car, it was a cultural phenomenon that changed the auto industry forever. Today, we're taking a closer look at why the 65 convertible with the 289 cubic inch V8 has become one of the most beloved and iconic American cars ever made. The Mustang story really begins with Lee Iacocca, who was a rising star at Ford in the early 1960s. Iacocca recognized something important. The baby boomer generation was coming of age, and they wanted something different from their parents' cars. They wanted something sporty, stylish, and affordable. The existing Ford lineup just wasn't cutting it with younger buyers. Iacocca pushed for a new kind of car, one that would appeal to this youth market while still being practical enough for everyday use. The result was the Mustang, which debuted on April 17, 1964, at the New York World's Fair. Technically, these first Mustangs are sometimes called 1964.5 models, but they're all considered 1965 model year vehicles in Ford's records. The response was nothing short of incredible. Ford expected to sell maybe 100,000 Mustangs in the first year. They sold over 400,000. People were actually sleeping outside dealerships to be first in line. Some dealers had to lock their doors because of the crowds trying to get in. It was automotive mania unlike anything seen before. What made the Mustang so special? For starters, the design was absolutely perfect for its time. The long hood, short deck proportions gave it a sporty look that wasn't too aggressive. The running horse emblem, the side scallops, the three-element taillights. Every aspect of the design just worked. It managed to appeal equally to men and women, which was no small achievement. Then there was the price. A base Mustang started at just $2,320, within reach of young buyers or families looking for a second car. But what made the Mustang truly brilliant was its option list. You could get a bare-bones 6-cylinder model for basic transportation, or you could check option boxes and create a high-performance machine. And that brings us to our star today, the 1965 Mustang Convertible with the 289 cubic inch V8. By choosing the convertible body style and the 289 engine, buyers got what many consider the perfect combination of fun, performance, and style. The convertible was $2,663 to start, a bit more than the hardtop, but still surprisingly affordable. Opting for the 289 V8 added more to the price, depending on which version you chose. The base 289 made 200 horsepower, but the one most enthusiasts wanted was the 289 Hypo or high-performance version with a 4-barrel carburetor making 271 horsepower. This turned the stylish convertible into a legitimate performer that could hold its own against many sports cars of the era. The 289 engine itself deserves special attention. This compact V8 was part of Ford's Windsor engine family, and it was a marvel of engineering for its time. It was relatively lightweight, reliable, and had tremendous potential for modification. In standard 2-barrel carburetor form, it was smooth and economical. With the 4-barrel setup, it became much more eager. And in high-po form with solid lifters, a higher compression ratio, and better flowing heads, it was downright sporty. Paired with either a 3-speed automatic or a 4-speed manual transmission, the 289 gave the Mustang Convertible a 0 to 60 time of around 8 seconds with the higher output versions. Very respectable for 1965, and quick enough to feel genuinely exciting with the top down. Speaking of the top, the Mustang's convertible roof was well designed and relatively easy to operate. You released 2 latches at the header, and then it folded down neatly behind the rear seat. A vinyl boot cover could be snapped in place for a cleaner look. When up, the top was reasonably weather-tight and well-insulated for the era, making the convertible practical as a year-round car in most climates. Inside the 65 Mustang Convertible, you found a driver-oriented cockpit that reinforced the car's sporty image. The deep-set gauges with their round dials were easily visible, The three-spoke steering wheel had a sporty feel, and the floor-mounted shifter, whether manual or automatic, added to the engaging driving experience. The interior wasn't exactly spacious, especially in the back seat, but it was comfortable enough up front for long drives. The trunk was surprisingly useful for a sporty car, making the Mustang Convertible a genuine option for weekend getaways. What many people don't realize about the '65 Mustang is how much it borrowed from existing Ford products. To keep costs down, the Mustang used the chassis and many mechanical components from the Ford Falcon compact car. The engines, transmissions, rear axles, and much of the suspension came straight from the Ford parts bin. This was smart engineering and business. It kept development costs low while ensuring parts were readily available through Ford's massive dealer network. Color choices for the '65 were pure mid-'60s America: Rangoon Red, Tropical Turquoise, Skylight Blue, Honey Gold, and Wimbledon White, among others. Interior colors were equally vibrant, with options like bright red, blue, and turquoise. The most popular exterior colors for convertibles were red, white, and blue, perhaps reflecting the patriotic mood of America at the time. Production numbers for the specific combination of 1965 convertible with the 289 V8 were substantial but not overwhelming. Out of roughly 73,000 convertibles made that year, about 45,000 had V8 engines, with the 289 being the most common. Today, finding an authentic '65 convertible with its original 289 is becoming increasingly difficult as these cars approach their 60th birthday. The driving experience of a '65 Mustang convertible with the 289 is something special. There's a smoothness to the power delivery that modern cars can't replicate. The V8 doesn't rush to redline. It builds power progressively, with a soundtrack that combines classic American V8 rumble with a touch of sophistication. The 4-speed manual, if equipped, has fairly long throws by modern standards, but there's something satisfying about running through the gears with the top down. By modern standards, the handling might seem a bit soft and the brakes a little weak, but judged against its contemporaries, the Mustang was quite nimble. The standard suspension was tuned more for comfort than outright performance, but Ford offered various handling packages that firmed things up considerably. The cultural impact of the Mustang convertible is hard to overstate. It appeared in countless movies, TV shows, and advertisements. It became shorthand for American youth, freedom, and optimism during the mid-1960s. The image of a young couple in a Mustang convertible with the top down, cruising along a coastal highway, is practically the definition of American automotive romance from this era. Celebrity owners included everyone from Hollywood stars to musicians and athletes. Wilson Pickett even sang about the Mustang in his hit Mustang Sally. The car transcended its role as transportation to become a genuine cultural icon. The 1965 Mustang launched what we now call the pony car segment. Affordable, stylish, performance-oriented cars with long hoods and short decks. Competitors like the Chevrolet Camaro, Pontiac Firebird, and Dodge Challenger would follow. But the Mustang was first, and for many, it remains the definitive example of the breed. For collectors and enthusiasts today, the '65 Mustang convertible with the 289 represents an approachable classic. While prices have risen steadily over the decades, they remain relatively affordable compared to many other iconic 1960s cars. A driver quality example might range from $30,000 to $50,000, while show quality restorations or rare specifications can push well above $100,000. What makes these cars appealing as classics is their relative simplicity. The technology is straightforward enough that a reasonably skilled home mechanic can handle most maintenance. Parts availability is excellent, with reproduction components available for virtually every piece of the car. The community of Mustang enthusiasts is huge and supportive, making ownership a social experience as much as an automotive one. Common issues with '65 Mustangs include rust in the floor pans, cowl and lower fenders, worn suspension components, and electrical gremlins typical of cars from this era. Convertibles have the added complexity of the top mechanism and potential water leaks to contend with. But none of these issues are deal breakers, and a well-maintained example can be a reliable classic car experience. Modifications are extremely common with these cars. While purists prefer stock restorations, many owners upgrade to front disc brakes, modern power steering systems, electronic ignition, and improved cooling systems. These updates preserve the vintage driving experience while adding safety and reliability for modern roads. Ford has maintained a remarkably consistent design language for the Mustang throughout its nearly 60-year history. You can park a 2023 Mustang next to a 1965 model, and despite all the technological advancements and safety requirements, the family resemblance is unmistakable. Few automotive nameplates can claim that kind of design continuity. The legacy of the 1965 Mustang goes beyond just launching a successful car model. It created a template for automakers to follow. Take familiar mechanical components, wrap them in stylish bodywork, and offer enough options that buyers can personalize their purchase. This approach has been copied countless times in the decades since. If you're lucky enough to find yourself behind the wheel of a '65 Mustang Convertible with the 289, take a moment to appreciate what you're experiencing. The sound of that V8, the feel of the sun above, and the knowledge that you're driving a car that changed American culture. It's not the fastest, most luxurious, or most valuable classic out there, but few cars deliver such a perfect combination of historical significance and pure driving joy. The 1965 Ford Mustang Convertible with the 289 V8 isn't just a classic car. It's a rolling piece of American history, a symbol of a uniquely optimistic moment in our automotive past, and a reminder of how the right car at the right time can capture the imagination of an entire generation.